I hope that worked, because now we're live on like 12 platforms, so many accounts, and this is the most crazy live we have ever done with a bunch of people. Okay, I'll give a super brief intro. And then from that, Craig, I would like you to do a quick explanation of why are we here. Good job, Brenda, taking a photo there. But we are here today super quickly to help Nikki create value for her all her different businesses, and hopefully find a direction for her that she can be going. Actually, Nikki, you go first. Who are you? Super brief.
My name is Nikki Daggy. I'm a real estate investor. Most people know me as a fix and flipper slash private money lender. I have since changed directions and confused with a lot of different directions that I'm heading for in the future now. So that's why we're here.
Awesome. Christy, you go next. We end with Craig.
All right, I'm Christy Schnurl, and I'm a multifamily investor and consultant. I've been in the multifamily space for the last 15 years. I've experience in working with syndication firms, so acquisitions, underwriting, due diligence, as well as consulting with multifamily developers.
Awesome. Brenda?
I am a multifamily investor. I'm a fund manager. I'm also a tech recruiter, and I am a mom and a wife.
Awesome. Rosie?
My name is Rosie Noel. I am a Clifton Strengths coach. Just started my coaching business at the end of last year and left a corporate job that I was in for over 15 years.
Awesome. Craig, who are you and why are we here?
Hey, what's up? I'm Craig Provost. I am a facilitator, a design thinker. My passion is helping people unlock, connect ideas to create value. And we are here to help Nikki double click on how she might clarify her business direction to amplify her value and serve people better. Does that sound about right, Nikki?
Yes. Awesome. I'm excited.
Awesome. So we did pregame a little bit with Nikki. She gave us some insight that she has multiple businesses and that she has a new direction where she's moving into multifamily housing. And she is seeking help, support on what she should focus on, what she should do herself, what she should have other people help her with or partner with. And we have a room full of amazing experts here. So Nikki, do you want to give a quick explanation of your businesses and the overview you gave Andreas and I?
Yes. So I come from the single family space of real estate. Like I mentioned, I was fix and flipping and doing some PML, private money lending deals. I since had kids, and I have 2 toddlers now. So we stopped fix and flipping. It just doesn't work for the lifestyle that we're living right now. We can't be in our projects, and so we are starting to grow our single family renter portfolio. Realizing that that's not, scalable. So I got introduced to the creative real estate space around last year or before that. And within that space, I started a transaction coordination business. I do underwrite for some teams and check their deals if they pencil out. And I do close for newbies to get their first deal. And yes, and now I want to be in multifamily. So obviously there is a part there where I am spreading myself too thin and I'm just everywhere.
Awesome. So we're hearing that your challenge is under the multifamily direction. You're interested in a lot of different aspects of it. So which aspect might you focus on or double click on?
In multifamily, you said?
Yeah, so let me put that to the room here of awesome experts. In what we've heard so far, what might be some advice or a question for Nikki on what she might double click on in the multifamily direction?
I mean, I can tell you how I got my foot in the door. I invested in Paces Fund and Venus Fund. So if you want to be a multifamily investor, that's probably the easiest way if you have some extra cash lying around.
I'm invested in Paces Fund too.
So then you are ready.
Right. I think it's really more, I guess, like obviously you, Brenda, you're super active in capital raising. So I'm finding my place in like the capital raising or the underwriting or the acquisitions, trying to find my place there.
So I think we'll probably loop Rosie in, but I always want to focus on my strengths, right? So like I'm a recruiter, I've been in sales my whole life, talking is my job. So it's easy for me to do capital raising, but you're doing transaction coordinating. Like I have no desire to do that. So maybe you want to be an underwriter. Our fund is looking for an underwriter. So, I already made the connection there.
You brought up something awesome, Brenda, which is the strengths. So, Nikki, what are, like, if you had your top 5 lists of your strengths that you think are good for multifamily, what would be on your list?
So I'm gonna say my 5 Clifton strengths are futuristic, positivity, focus, input. I'm missing one.
Significance.
Significance.
There you go.
Yeah. And this is exactly why I got into the transaction coordination business. I learned about myself from Rosie, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to learn how to do TCing, and I love it, right? So I feel like a lot of real estate investors who already have background years of doing investing in real estate don't necessarily go to TCing, transaction coordination. It's very administrative. But because of like learning my strengths, so I kind of wanted to dabble in it, and then sure enough, I enjoyed it. I truly love doing it.
Awesome. Rosie, the universe is pointing towards you.
I have so many questions. How do I filter down my questions? And Nikki, you and I have obviously talked about this before, but what specifically do you like? What do you enjoy the most about the TC work that you're doing or the role that you're playing?
I like solving problems. I like getting to the end, reaching the end goal of any situation, and that really is what TCing is. It's managing the success of a transaction. So I love doing that. I love wrangling all these preschoolers, these investors who like have no idea what they're doing. I'm like, everybody come here. We're all gonna play nice in the sandbox. That's what we do. But really, ultimately, it's the problem solving. I think I've been in a lot of transactions, and I know how to move around. I know, I guess, some ninja moves that can help investors with their transactions. Yeah.
And so that makes sense based on your strengths and just what I know about you. What about the opposite? Outside of, the financial ceiling that exists with TC work, like outside of that, are there any elements or aspects that you don't enjoy?
I don't enjoy. I don't enjoy. I don't enjoy organizing stuff. I I don't know. What can I come up with? Wow, I haven't thought of that, but I do enjoy meeting and talking to people and networking, but only for a certain amount of time. I'm very like limited in that aspect. I do enjoy it while I'm doing it. I can't say I can do it all day, every day. I don't enjoy not knowing stuff. So like getting into multifamily, I think that's huge. I feel like there's an aspect of like not being able to consider myself as a multifamily investor. Like my foot's not in the door because I don't fully understand it yet.
Yet. Oh, yes. Awesome use of yet. Woo! So, Nikki, like, what are the pieces that make up the multifamily knowledge base that you think are important? Because part of what we talked about was what should you end up doing yourself? You're spread thin. What should you partner and what should you outsource? But before we can bucket things like that, we have to kind of know what the puzzle pieces are. So Nikki and everyone on the call, what are the important puzzle pieces of multifamily, getting into the multifamily space?
So there's acquisitions, the broker relationships, the underwriting, the asset management, the did I say underwriting? Yeah. What did I miss? I missed capital raising, the most important thing.
I would say too, just in general, like terminology, probably, because there's a lot of different, a lot of complex terminology that's used in multifamily. So no matter which area you're getting into, just kind of understanding that vocabulary and kind of how things work in that space.
I think what Chris is saying is so important. And if I were to give advice to anyone that is new in multifamily, really go use Vina Jetty's glossary and literally just study every single term, because they're used over and over again. Memorize them like you're learning a language, and you gotta be able to quickly understand what they are, so that when you're speaking, when you're networking, when you're doing these other things, you understand the information provided to you. So it's like building the bookshelves in a library. Like you got to know, you got to have the system. And Rosie can talk a lot about sorting systems here. But it's like you got to have a place to put all the information into a different places. And I would say that's, important start. Mm-hmm. I love that comment, Christy. And to this day, I still hear a bunch of new terminology. I'm like, okay, that's a new one. Missed that one before. I had no clue what we're talking about.
Awesome. So we're hearing about terminology. Are these our pieces? Are these our puzzle pieces? Acquisitions, broker relationships, underwriting, terminology. I feel like I missed one?
Capital raising.
Capital raising.
Where does syndication fit in with any of this?
Broker relations are together.
I would say syndication is probably primarily in the capital raising bucket. And the terminology is throughout, but syndication, really it's all of it, because it's you're raising money for a specific project. So it's just one strategy or aspect of multifamily. That's one of the more common ones. Got it.
Awesome. So when we see these ingredients, Nikki, when you see this list of ingredients and you think about what's essential for you to deep dive in to start to drive your success, where could I put 2 dots? Say I only gave you 2 red dots. You can only deep dive on 2 things. Let's see where you want to deep dive, and then let's see where this amazing panel thinks you should dive into.
The 2 for me would be underwriting and terminology.
Whoa, the dot is getting wonky. Okay, there we go. Awesome. Thoughts?
I think that's where she falls.
Yep.
Based on her strengths and her interests, right?
So that's what I thought as well. And then a couple of comments here is like, you can't learn everything. There's no, like, building a multifamily fund or syndication is like a company, and you need different people with different expertise and different roles. And what I see happening is people are trying to learn it all before they take action. I think it's way more important to just find the people you want to work with and just go and learn from your mistakes along the way. But then when we talked this morning, Nikki, you also mentioned something about these, you're running a meetup within Sub 2, and you actually had a whole business idea within that area as well, or sort of how to expand it. And we got quickly talking about, we can expand that, but it's also important that we, how can you leverage that, what you're building? And I mentioned Brenda and the community she's been building and how she's now leveraging it to raise capital. So there's something around this as well we need to talk about.
Awesome.
I'd like to throw out another, I don't know if it really counts as like a puzzle piece, but just another consideration, because I think based on what you said so far, Nikki, I think I see a couple of avenues, specifically only speaking to the multifamily piece. Like if you were to actively be involved, right? Like one, I see a fit with acquisitions, whether that's, you know, within the underwriting, helping to kind of structure that part of it, understanding the problem solving, like that would be a great fit probably within acquisitions. But I think another avenue that you might want to consider going into would be a fund of funds. Because with that kind of a structure, and what that would mean is that you're leaning on the experience of some operators who have been in the space for a long time. You would select someone, you know, that you trusted, that has done it a lot. And your role, like your learning curve to be able to help investors get into that, or for you to navigate that, is smaller than if you go and you're doing your own deal. So you can still be applying the underwriting but it's more at a level of like double checking and seeing how comfortable you are with the main sponsor's deal, right? And like the terminology, getting familiar with what these mean, and then explaining those to investors or whatever role that might look like in a fund of funds. So I just wanted to throw it out as another thing to consider, as it's sometimes a nice stepping stone for people getting into multifamily, is to do it in that way first, to kind of get familiar with things.
Nikki, how does that strike you? Is that resonating? Is that percolating your brain cells in any way? How do you feel about that?
Yeah, it's definitely something that I will look into.
Awesome. Well, Christy, you brought up a really cool framing, which is what else is low learning curve, but sort of high value reward in this multifamily space when you're breaking into it? Like what other things fit in that magic zone?
Is that someone's answer, or is that the thought bubbles coming up? What do we have?
Means our cookies are ready. Wait, I'll go to the oven.
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say, man, if you can partner up with a really experienced team that has been through a lot of the other things, then that would also be a little bit more of that shorter learning curve, because you can it's really about the relationships that you have and leaning on other people. I would say for me, like the fund of funds is just kind of the easiest. The other one Brenda already mentioned would be to be a passive investor, right? Like if you're not having an active role, then I would absolutely recommend like a passive investor is a good way to start learning, you know, how to vet the deals, how to look at the operator, understand the process. It just depends on who you're partnering with in terms of how involved you'll be with the project and knowing exactly what's going on in the learning curve. But that definitely is a low-hanging fruit, if you will, option.
Yay, low-hanging fruit. What kind of fruit is it? Let's see, what's our favorite fruit?
Your spiritual fruit is a pineapple, right?
All right, so we're hearing passive investor, we're hearing fund the fun, we're hearing maybe a good fit with acquisitions, we're hearing use Vina Jetty's glossary. What are some other accelerators, catalysts that we could share about going into this multifamily space?
One thing that really helped me was just building people you have nearby that you can, like Brenda and I, we started our discussions before we partnered up by just sort of being accountability buddies or just sharing knowledge with one another. And by just finding 2-3 people around you, Nikki, that are like, I want to make the same journey. And it doesn't have to be people you partner up with. But what you should do is you should make an accountability group. Every week you guys meet for at least 30 minutes. You all commit to divide and conquer, to obtain more knowledge, share it back in and into the group. And then really go like WTF if no one is doing it. So you're pushing one another to quickly accelerate. And that's one thing. The other thing is, and I think I said this to you, I don't remember, but it's like, if you really think that your blocker is there's so much to learn, you can basically just lock yourself in a room for 1 week, consume everything on Kajabi, and know more than 98% of the people in the community. So if that's truly the blocker, like it's 1 week and you know more than 98%.
Yes.
But it's just a matter of doing it. Oh, Rosie is back. Let's add her to the stage.
Woohoo!
Technology.
By the way, we got several comments, but one of them is Ronnie said that accountability group makes a difference. And I know she started one with a few people from Masterclass 2. Maybe, I don't know, Ronnie, can you take on another person in your accountability group? That's a question for you. Please leave a comment if that's the case. But my point is, like, finding that group will make a big difference.
Yeah, we have Lelaine is over on Instagram, and she's saying, I think from an earlier comment, she was saying acquisitions, asset management, capital raising, underwriting, disposition. Brian, my husband, has joined us as well, and he's saying terminology. Am I right? Christy, speak English is a common conversation when she talks shop to me at dinner table. There's a lot of terminology. Lelaine is also offering. She's saying, Nikki, IHOP girls will be your accountability partners.
Oh, cool.
So you've already got that. But yeah, I would agree with Andreas. Like you were in Multify, which is Vina Jetty's mentorship, and the amount of knowledge that is in that community and that's already recorded and available. You have 99% of the information that you need to be able to go out and just do the thing. But it's really just a matter of getting through it, digesting it. So I would agree with Andreas if that's really the hang up, to be prioritizing that time and just plow through a bunch of it.
And one more idea is we had a meetup, Brenda and I, in Atlanta, and I don't remember who I talked to anymore. Maybe I said this to you, Nikki, but like make it a 90-day challenge to post something in the Facebook group every single day you learn something. And then other people will take notice that you're contributing value every single day. And then they will go, when they are then looking for who do I partner with? Oh, I see Nikki post messages every single week for the last 65 days, or every single day for the last 65 days. She probably have a lot of knowledge. And all of a sudden, like, you have to put yourself out there and market yourself and add value to the community. And that's how people will see you and they will want to partner with you. For example, the live challenges we are doing right now on Instagram, like that Facebook or that Instagram message group is just blowing up with people and messages and everything. But they're all taking action, and then they fuel one another. And when that happens, again, you just amplify one another over and over and over again. And now you start seeing a big change.
And Nikki,
and Rania said she would love to have you in her accountability group. They meet every week.
There you go.
Woo.
Yay. Thank you.
We learned from Nikki in the pregame for this jam out that she loves hanging out with people, and that's how her group originally started, her meetup. Nikki, do you want to share a little bit more around like the story of your meetup? And then maybe we can brainstorm how that might tie into to multifamily?
Yeah, sure. So our meetup started last year, around I think in June or July. I was talking to my other mentor, who most here know, Pace. I told him we don't have a meetup here in Tampa, and he said you should start it. And I said, I guess I will. So I did, and so I do this real estate thing full time with my husband. So I told my husband, hey, if nobody shows up, then it's a date night, right? Like we just went and did it. There was about maybe 10 or 12 people that showed up, and we've done it every month since then. So with like my other businesses going on, I partnered with other people in the community who are willing to do it with me, to host these events with me. And then recently someone came up to us, someone that we look up to as well in the community, and they're like, you guys should make this, stop just hanging out and actually be a meetup that give value, build a business out of this. Obviously you guys are getting business out of these hangout that you guys have. And so that's what I was talking to Craig and Andreas earlier today. It's another business idea. It's already ongoing, and I have like a badass capital raiser with me who's running the show now, and then another great person, helping us in the back end. So that's what it is. And the guy that I was talking about that that said this is a great idea and you guys should really host these meetups, not thinking of just you and the community, but outside, like just serving the real estate community as a whole, and not just like the Pace-Morby cumulative communities. Yeah, he said eventually, like he said, my vision for you is your guests in your meetup should be Rod Cleve, who's like a multifamily investor here in Tampa, Myron Golden, and Grant Cardone. And I'm like, okay, let's relax, like let's not get there. But that was he put it in my brain. So
I mean, since I'm the one that's running a community here in Orange County, I think you're doing all the right things. If you can make it a biweekly meetup, that's what we did for the first 10 months. I think that's what really helped accelerate everything for me and the people in that group. Because once a month is like a long time in between. And same thing, like there's so many partnerships that grew out of OCJV. People are, private money lenders, same thing, transaction coordinators, underwriters. And it was because it was our accountability group of meeting each other every 2 weeks. We only just transitioned to once a month now because all the leaders and the like OGs of the group have built businesses that like they can't put the time into it, but we're still committing to each other in between those 2 weeks on a monthly Zoom. So the touch points are still every 2 weeks. And then our group also, we do a weekend family day because a lot of these people can't meet up on a weekday. So a lot of business has been created because of the meetup. So I think you're doing a great job with that.
And also, Brenda, I don't know if you said it, but I think you're 1,000 people now, right?
Yeah. We're about 1,000 people in the Facebook group, and in person, it ranges between 50 to 100 people.
And there's also, I mean, again, when you then raise capital, you have people that you already trust, that already trust you. But I think one of the key things, and I mean, Brenda, you're big into sub 2 as well, but you decided not to make it sub 2 only, but focus on any type of business, right? That's why it's a joint venture type of group. And I think
it's a creative finance group. It's not a sub 2 meetup. So anybody can come.
And as a result, you get a much wider followers, because when I talk to you, the businesses you talk about, they're all over the map, basically.
Yeah.
Oh my God, look at these amazing tips. Bi-weekly weekend family day. It's a creative finance group, so broadening the cone to include more people. Mm-hmm. Anyone feeling any other shortcuts to share or catalyzing ideas to share around this meetup group? Or another inspirational example that someone took a small community and turned it into something larger? Or any thought that's in your brain. The door is wide open.
I mean, we've got swag for the group, and that's another stream of income for the group. So, we're building a brand. It really is a brand.
I mean, I think the thought I have right now is I'm kind of watching Nikki's face too, as we're talking about all of these things. And I suspect, and maybe if we can take a step back for the overall goal for her and in this session and what we're trying to accomplish is, are we trying to drill down onto what you should focus or how you should be allocating your time? Are you selecting between struggling to select between which of these to focus on, or you want to pursue all of them? What do your time commitments look like? I feel like I have all these questions and I'm looking at you, and also want to make sure that we're helping in whatever way we can as it relates to all that.
I loved. So you're basically saying, Christy, if I understand you correctly, is yes, we're adding more things on her table instead of helping her narrow and focus.
Well, maybe, I don't know. I'm just curious to see what the overall goal, because I love when, with the design sessions, how it's all about putting a lot out there to give the ideas and open the floodgates. But it's just causing me to reflect and be okay, what is going to be our goal at the end of this, just to make sure whatever we're opening the gates to is helpful.
I love that question, Christy. So if we get there, we could get to a top 3 to 5 actions that Nikki might want to take out of this jam out. And then if we really distill down, we would get to the one thing, the absolute one thing that's resonating with her, or that she's been convinced that would help her move forward in multifamily. But thank you for refocusing us. I love that. What do you think, Nikki? So Christy's asking, like, are we generating value right now, or are we just generating Post-its?
No, definitely generating value. I should say, like, the Brenda's input, most of that are already in the works for us. But I love that you're saying you're really building a brand for OCJV. That's something that we should be looking into. But so that part is good. We have that going on. We have like the family day, and bi-weekly is something we can easily implement. Um, on the other post-its, on the multifamily, what is it? Partner up with really experienced team. Use Vina Jetty's glossary. What's the one in the bottom? Okay, become a passive investor. So I am a passive investor already. I do. Obviously, I am very interested in partnering up with a really experienced team. As far as what I know of fund of funds, I feel like that is not the route that I will go to. I don't know that I know everything about it, so I still need to do more research. But as far as what I know about it, I think I'm not going that direction. Yeah. So what's popping out for me is I enjoy learning Vina Jettis glossary, and I have been putting in a lot of hours learning whatever we have in Multify. I think underwriting is something that's really just sticking to me. But I think also it's it's a bit hard for me to put myself out there because I'm new in underwriting. I'm going to be new and I'm just going to be learning, and I have been learning. In fact, I shouldn't say that I'm new. I've been learning for weeks and weeks and maybe months now. But there's an aspect of me where it's just like, if I don't know, and if I haven't underwritten this much, then I can't call myself that
No,
kind of
so
thing.
Nikki, I can throw you, like Brenda said, we are looking for someone, right? So what's going on right now is Vesna, my wife, she is learning underwriting at a higher level. And because Brenda and I, we've been good at networking, especially Brenda, so we have a lot of deal flow coming in. And I don't know what she said, it's like 25 deals a week coming in right now. So there's a lot of back of napkin underwriting that needs to be done. If you just want to practice and on real deals and you want to partner up, maybe you can partner up with Vesna, my wife, and we can share all those deals coming in. The two of you can be underwriting, or you can help validate. That way we get value, but you also get experience saying, yeah, I am working with a team and helping them. And, or like, do you understand what I mean? Like, I have been helping others. So now you're adding to your resume. And then if we actually acquire something, or we actually, like, we need to go deep, yeah, we would probably not ask you unless you get really experienced by that point. But then we will probably pay someone to underwrite for us, and or give them a certain percentage to do like the super detailed version of it. But then you have access to that as well and learn. So that's just another idea that, and because you just need to say, I've been underwriting for X amount of time. And then you can do what Emily Bow, I think her name is, where you start, once you get a little bit better, you start putting it out on YouTube. You just explain to others what you're doing. Another suggestion is, once you get a little bit like, you got into it more and more, reach out to Erica Wald and say, I want to be your assistant on all the Multify Live sessions, or can I help you on there? Or do you understand? And maybe you already are, but you get my point. It's like, you just have to start doing it on real deals. And then if you get really good at it, we might hire you in the fund.
So I'm sure you know this, but in Sub 2, Bo has a underwriting course and you can get certified by him. So
Yeah.
you should do that. and then you'll have your certification, which will help with your confidence and credibility. And then you just need to put in the reps.
Right. So I am certified with Bo.
Oh.
I just need to do there's two parts to it. So the one where the live underwriting is the one that I haven't scheduled with him yet. But I love everything that Andrea said. That really kind of creates a spark in me.
Yay. We just have to find like one narrow focus, create awareness around it, share the information in the community. And you could even do like, hey, I underwrote this deal if anyone wants to jump on, if it's more a public deal. And you can start teaching others because you are better. But you just saying I'm almost certified. I already have been underwriting. Again, you're 95 better than 95% of the community who don't know how to underwrite.
Exactly.
And there might be someone listening to this is like, I really need someone who I want to partner up with, an amazing underwriter, up and coming person. They might ping you after this and say, join my team.
Mm-hmm.
So
Another,
go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
Just throwing out another, idea that might help too is to do kind of like a virtual office or something where even if it's just within the Multify community, just saying, hey, once a week or whatever it is for 2 hours, I'm going to be underwriting. I'm learning. I'm trying to figure it out. There's so many people in the same boat as you right now, Nikki, that are trying to learn. They don't have like all the confidence in it yet because they just need to get in more of the reps and get the feet. Like you learn so much faster if you can have feedback from other people too, as you're doing it. So if you guys could like even just do a private virtual Zoom where you're doing it together. Maybe you do one deal together. Everyone's at the same points. Everyone's workshopping on their own, and you guys are talking to each other as you're doing it, however you want to structure that. But that might also feel like a little bit more of a safe space. If you're at all hesitant about really putting yourself out there right now, that might feel like a big step to be like, yeah, I'm going to start live streaming myself or showing up on these, other bigger Zooms as an assistant. So just a couple ideas.
I love it.
Just to tag on to that. So like you can go on to Crexy or LoopNet, right? Sign up for an account. You can get all the financials for deals on there because they're public. And then you can just start underwriting them. And since they're public, you could do it on YouTube. So there's no NDA you need to worry about.
The ideas are flowing now. I love it. Let's keep it going. Yes, and what else?
So I don't have any technical ideas. I have a lot of questions. But the question I guess that I want to ask, like for you, Nikki, I feel like in our time together, and this is my concern now through this, is that like visibility and credibility are two words that came up with you a lot. Like a lot of these suggestions that they're putting out there require you to be more visible. And what I know about you is that if you don't feel like you're credible enough, then you're going to withhold your visibility. And so I think that I don't know exactly what my question is, but I guess that's my concern, is that a lot of this stuff requires you to put yourself out there. And if you've gone through this underwriting course and you still don't feel like you're credible enough, like what's it going to take for you to feel credible enough to make yourself visible?
You know me so well.
I gotcha.
No, I think so. Being seen is kind of a struggle, right? But we all know we just gotta do the uncomfortable. So we're working through that. If, like, for example, on that virtual office, if I do that, I do have I guess I could start out by saying, I'm not teaching anyone anything. This is me learning. This is my journey. I will go through this stuff, and this is for my own, so I can go back to this 12 months later and see how much I've grown. If I can just put it out like that and not say, hey, go to my virtual office, I'm an expert at this, then I think I will
just say, come hang out with me. That's it.
Yeah. Or other people that are also learning, like, hey, let's have a safe space. We're all learning together so that we can like just ask the questions and feel like point it out to each other. We can learn from each other. Just have it like that.
Right.
Safe space.
Right. I understand what Rosie is saying about me. I feel like my questioning the credibility part for me is because I'm dipping my toes in a lot of different things. And so that's where my doubting my credibility on one thing comes in. Because like Rosie, we know Rosie is the strengths coach, and that's it. And she's the expert on it. And so for me, when people say that like I'm a lender and a fix and flipper and I TC and I underwrite and I like, so it's really me doubting myself because I'm spread too thin. But I do feel like that I can build on it if I focus on underwriting and just keep on building on it and just be genuine about my journey through it, then credibility will follow.
So I want to add one of my favorite quotes, and not to get too philosophical, but when the will is the lowest, the necessity is often the highest. Your pattern since last September have led you to a point where you don't know what to do next. You're becoming, you're dabbling into a little bit into everything. And as a result, you don't get the feeling of being an expert. So in this case, I would go as narrow as I can. I would even go one step further and say, I only underwrite properties that are like 50 units or below. And I only do it for 1990 vintage or younger. Like make it super narrow so you almost become an expert, not that underwriting, but an expert within a very small sliver. And once you master that for your own brain to feel like I know it, so if we put it out in the group, like anyone who knows the South States, and I'm using our buy box now, Brenda, I was like 50 units, 1990 vintage, like Nikki is the person to ask. Like she knows all the numbers to an nth degree. Once you have narrowed, then you add a little bit and a little bit and a little bit. And that's how you grow your confidence and your ability to do it over and over again. And by the way, we have had several people on. It's like my wife said, I would love to hang out with you, Nikki. And I can tell she's the same way as you. It isn't until she have done it 1,000 times she believes she has the right to even educate others with it. But she needs someone to sit with and brainstorm, like, I see the number here, or I don't understand that here. So if you did that together, you would just elevate one another. And then Jesse said, underwriting is something I'm working on getting better. Vamsi and I did a call last night to walk through some of the numbers, and I did a learning session. Love to do one to get the reps in. And so he is another person who want to connect with you. And Nikki, by teaching others, you will become comfortable with your knowledge, teaching others, and others you will. I don't see some of the stuff she wrote there. Something became wrong with that message, but I think what Vesna is doing is she again goes super narrow, and then she just finds one person to teach it to, a complete beginner, and now she starts believing it herself that she actually have the knowledge. But you see, there are several people, by just putting your name out there, and this is something you want to do, you have an accountability group. You have several people who want to jump on a call with you to get better together, and or just want to hang out with you. So it's like, look at what the universe can give you if you just dare to put yourself out there.
And another thought I had that I'll add on top of that is, like Nikki, especially, you know, I can't help myself as we're talking, but be looking at your Clifton strengths, and your number 4 strength is input, and input usually likes to be an expert in something. So I can imagine you have a lot of interest, but it's hard to not feel like you're an expert in any one of them, even though you're probably more of an expert than the average person. But that said, it's like, what if you, in the short term, did a reframe around your identity as an expert? Meaning, like, what if you built up credibility as a learner, right? Like I am an expert in learning about underwriting. Like that feels a lot less scary than, and like you could build more credibility around like stepping into that identity rather than stepping into I am an expert in underwriting. Like so I don't know, that's just more of like a brainstorming idea is like, can you reframe for your credibility so that you can boost yourself up to step into getting visibility, but in a place that's going to like almost allow you to work from a place of abundance. Like, yes, I am really good at learning, right? Rather than scarcity, like, oh, I'm starting from zero and I need to work my way up.
I love that, Rosie.
Oh man,
That should
drop
be a
the post-it.
podcast topic, Rosie.
Oh, we have
Add to
2
the
more
list.
people that want to practice with you. We have Lelaine saying, me too. Add me on the underwriting practice. And then the Max Barov is saying, I'd love to join the underwriting practice too. So it sounds like a lot of people just want to practice and learn together.
You're already an expert in practicing and learning, it looks like.
I love that reframe, Rosie. And
I love building community around a common interest is also a strength you have.
Yeah, your high connectedness. That's your number 6.
Oh,
awesome.
Yeah. And it feeds your significance, your number 3, because it's like by you learning, it helps other people to see why that type of work matters, especially because it's a behind the scenes kind of work and you can help other people see how important it is, because I feel like the capital raisers get all the glory in a lot of ways, and you can help people see how important underwriting is. Because I've heard you talk about that with TC work too. Like a good TC is a game changer, and same with underwriting.
So I was about to say we have 8 minutes left, and then we have to end the stream. And I would love for Nikki to, like the top of the pyramid there, Craig, we select a few things. So there is some accountability as well.
Yeah. And Nikki, I just wanted to call out, we were aiming to narrow some of your focus. And these were your words. You basically spoke out your strategy. You said, I'm going to focus on underwriting. That's a narrow right there. I'm going to keep on building on it. And I'm going to be genuine about my journey. So that's basically a 3-step strategy that you just laid out for yourself, which is focusing already. So awesome job on that. But yes, if we do a fly through, I'm going to do a fly through, Nikki, and you just tell me which Post-its you want me to grab and bring to the top.
Okay.
So we started talking about your top strengths. Brenda was talking about PACES Fund. Then we zoomed into the pieces of underwriting. Was there any high resonance Post-its around here?
Partner up with really experienced team does.
Awesome. Yes, let's bring that to the top. And then we heard things like virtual office and practice groups. Are some of those things?
Yes, definitely. Practice group, but I don't see it. Is there a practice group or virtual office? Yeah.
So let's bring virtual office up here and practice groups. We already had 4 or 5 people saying they wanted to practice with you. You could start that group.
Hey.
How about everyone else? What were I don't want to miss any high resonance, high frequency stuff here.
She had said terminology. I mean, I don't know. It sounds like I think she's also has learned and knows more than she's thinking that she has. But that was a key one over there, I think, was just kind of going through the vault and definitely the terminology and the basics of multifamily.
Terminology ninja. We heard you say you were a ninja on some things. Ninja. And then Andreas was saying some stuff that had high resonance for you around hanging out with Vesna, practicing with her, getting real practice on deals they're actually considering.
Yes. Yes.
Brenda disappeared.
Oh yeah.
I was trying to figure out where did all the screens go, but now I know why.
All right. Okay, let's go to the top of the pyramid. And I'm also going to put your strategy idea, your commitment to this strategy, maybe. All right. So out of these actions, if you could just pick 2, what are you feeling?
Question is, for me, the virtual office is kind of the same as the practice group, right?
Love it.
Like it would
So
be
that's
one and the same. So how many could I pick? Just 2?
Well, it looks like we maybe have, this is kind of with this, and this is kind of with this. Partner up with real
Yes,
experienced teams
right.
is like practicing on real deals. And practice group is related to that, but this is almost like, what if you started a practice group with other people? Is that right?
Right.
Awesome. Are we missing anything? Rosie, Christy, Andreas?
I think this has been valuable because it's like, it's when you have all the thoughts going on in your head and you don't really know where they're going. And now the fact that she said the words herself, like, here's how we'll laser focus in one area, that's so powerful.
So
Rosie, I feel like you're thinking of something.
Just because I know you and I know we've had similar types of discussions, and I just feel like knowing you, knowing your number 3 significance, like there's something in there around visibility for you. And I don't know exactly what it is, but I don't want you to walk away with this having a really well thought out plan that you don't go big enough on for yourself, that you like retreat into yourself, or you play it really safe, or you make it smaller. Like, I don't think that's what you want. And I know that you're capable of making it big. And I also know that you'll get energy from that. So it's like, how, like, it's, I don't know exactly what the question is, but it's like, how do you step into the visibility piece that you need to for this? Because I know that you want that. And there's just some stuff that holds you back.
So is that the accountability group, or you're thinking one step further, Rosie?
Like, it could be the accountability group, but like, I would want you to be more public facing with some of this stuff, meaning like posting in the Multify group or Mastering Multifamily with Vina Jetty. Hey, we're doing a learning session. I'm going to be learning about this today. Come join me. Like that kind of stuff. Like, I want you to do things that will create more visibility for you.
Yeah. So if we build upon that, what if you did that in the open Facebook group for Vina Jetty's Mastering Multify, or what it's called, and you just do office hours there every now and then, once a week at the same time, so it doesn't overlap the elite group times. And you just say, like, I'm trying to learn underwriting, show up and help me, or learn it with me. I guarantee you a bunch of people on this call would join that. And that way you're also adding credibility and you get seen, which I think what Rosie is talking about.
I can do that.
Sold.
Well, Nikki, if you could bring us home, is there a closing thought or reflection? And like Andreas and I talked to you about during the session, there's a lot of stuff flying. There's a lot to soak in. It tends to be after the session where you have time to think about it and distill it, and pieces start falling into place a little bit more. But what are your thoughts and feelings from what we did today as a group?
I think it's a good jumping off point for me, and I can build on the ideas. And if I just do the actual action, the posts in the group, the virtual office, practicing with others, and partnering up with a team and practicing with Vesna, I think that will birth more ideas.
So I hear an action step. I love it.
She's giving birth. Best action step ever.
Woo! And then one sentence closing observation from each person. Christy, then Rosie, and then Andreas. You want to close it down?
Sure.
All right. So I'm just going to say that one, I am really impressed with you showing up today and being vulnerable and sharing this in a very visible way, because I know that that's uncomfortable for you to do. And I think in all of this, I've been really impressed because I was knowing you a little bit, and that you're similar to me where like the visibility piece is a struggle and it's pushing out of the comfort zone. I know that some of these suggestions were on the edge of that. And I'm actually very excited that Rosie pushed you further beyond that point, to really push you to become even more visible and more out of your comfort zone, and that you're accepting that. So that's all. I just want to say, I think that's really cool to witness here, and I'm excited to see what you do.
Thank you.
Closing comments. Okay, so I will say, yes, Nikki, I've had the pleasure of knowing you for quite some time, and I was really excited to join when Andreas mentioned it to me. I think through this call and just the history that I've had knowing you, it feels like you're just on the precipice of stepping into like the power and the energy that you bring. And it seems like you've been holding yourself back. And I feel like you're putting yourself in a position now to not be doing that anymore. So I'm really excited to see what the next phase looks like for you as you step into that more.
Wow.
I can't add more than I agree so much with Christy and Rosie, but I will say one comment, and that is someone said, thank you for sharing your vulnerability today, Nikki. And also to everyone on the panel, thank you for your wisdom, and many exclamation marks. So by putting yourself out there and leaning into your uncomfortableness of doing this, I guarantee you have created other groups, you have created an understanding, and people will dare to do more just because of you. So you're leading by example. So thank you.
Wow. Thank you. That's amazing. I love it. You guys. Thank you.
Yay.
Craig, anyone, thank you. I think we end on this note. Thank you, everyone. And several people have said, I have learned so much from you today, Nikki, and people will start connecting with you after this live stream on Instagram and other places.
I love that. That was an intention of ours to somehow for me to be out here and give value to others by showing what I'm going through. So I love that.
And Vesna have already sent you a text message asking when you're going to jump on a call.
Right after this.
Okay.
Yay.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Nikki.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.